All right, Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises, honors, and glories due to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah Kwadash. Double honors to the elders, apostles, and bishops of Great Millstone who rule and teach well. All right, double honors to them. And also, I would like to say, last but not least, give my peace, blessings, and salutations to the elect, hopeful elect, right? That's beginning with you, believers, the men, women, and children, right? Helpers of the prophets, and also you fellow laborers out there, the 144,000, the men that make their bodies as a living sacrifice to you all. I say shalom. Wherever you may be located, may the blessing of election be upon you and your household. Shalom to the elect. Okay. Now, I'm thinking about doing 2 articles in one lesson. We'll see where the spirit takes me. But I have 2 articles that I want to dive into. First is this one right here, which I found, I think it was today, right? It was today. I found it today. I don't know where I found it. Well, let me not say that. I remembered where I found the article. It was actually a brother who posted like a Twitter, a tweet from X. And I looked at it. I was looking at it. I was like, oh, whoa, because you have a lot of feminists now that are complaining, right, about how it will lead to sexual assault and sexual violence against women. And but this is what equality means. This is what equality means, right? This is what it means to be equal to a man, right? Strong and independent. Okay. Strong and independent, baby. Strong and independent. This is what it means to be strong and independent, right? Let's go to the images. Yep. Oh, that's her. Strong and independent. There she go. There she goes. And this really goes back to the inspiration all women talk. 8 ways you can become a strong and independent woman for girls needing a punch. A punch like a motivation. Okay. Now, the whole ideology really goes back to the ancient world, and really it goes back to the Middle Ages, even before then. But one big patron, right, of feminism, I think she is the patron of feminism, would be, what's her name, Joanna Arc, right? Joanna of Arc. Okay. And she's a French Israelite woman. She's not an Edomite, right? Because there are icons, tons of icons of how she looks. And she looks like a Israelite, a Negro, so-called Negro woman, right? She looks more like probably could be a Benjamite or a Levite, or pass as a Simeonite, because she has like a little bit like a caramel complexion. But in her book, they describe her as dark skin, because when she entered the court of Francis the Fourth, she was described as a dark skinned woman. So she was a woman who had melanin, an Israelite woman, and she pretty much became the patron saint of feminism. Okay. And ever since then, she has been the idol of what it means to be equal to a man, because in her story, or in her life, she was famous for wearing a man's garment, right? She broke the law of Deuteronomy. Thou shalt not wear anything that pertains to a man. That applies to a woman. So what they did was they burned her on the stake, and later on she became a national hero-ness, right? Hero-ness of France. So the feminists of today, they look up to her as like a symbol of freedom, or however they try to express it. So now what's going on is you have the opportunity to pretty much do, or I would say reenact, what Joanna Arc did in the Middle Ages, and none of these women don't want to do any of that. Here it is. They hold her up as a symbol, right? But they don't want to actually follow through with their end of of the bargain. And this is why, right? This is why the scriptures talks about a woman, she is foolish, right? She is foolish and knoweth nothing. Okay? And the elites, they knew exactly what they were doing when they started the women's liberation movement. This Proverbs 9 verse 13, it says, a foolish woman is clamorous. She is simple and knoweth nothing. It's very easy to lead a woman where you want her to go. Okay? That's why time and time again, women tend to fall for the serial killers, right? Because the serial killers, they understand the mindset of a woman. Okay? You have to reel them in, and once you got them hooked, you know, a woman, she is led by her emotions. Once you got her hooked, she can never let go. There's a term that they call, it's called I think it's called captive something, where you start to love your abuser or your captor. Okay, that's why the scriptures always stresses that you should not give women too much liberty, right? Because through her liberty, she pretty much destroys herself. Okay, so let's go back to the article. Okay, it says your U.S. military draft bill would require women to register for selective service. Now, I'm going to make this point clear. They already passed a law, right, requiring men to register for selective service and to be a part of the draft. But they have also passed a bill, but has not been turned into a law, right, to require women to register for selective service. And I think I know why, because they want to really wait until there's a distraction and they'll just quickly pass the bill into a law, right? They don't want to get ahead of themselves, because if this passes right now, it's going to cause a lot of turmoil within the American society, okay? A lot of fathers wouldn't be happy sending their daughters to war, right? It's already a requirement for men to fight in battles, but daughters, women, nah, it's not gonna slide with a lot of men. So it says here, L.A. Let's actually read this. It says, though a Senate committee approved a bill that will require women to register for the selective service, the bill is still far from becoming law. Okay, so they approved the bill, but it has not been passed into a law. Now, if I can remember the process, there's a process to how laws are created. First, they craft a bill, right? They propose the bill. It goes through the Senate committee. They vote on it. Once it gets voted on, the bill gets approved, right? Then it goes through the next stage, which is to turn the bill into a law, and that's when people from the higher ups, they will review the bill to see if it's constitutional, see it aligns with the amendments, right? Then once they agree on everything, right, they will have a vote, and the vote turns to a success. The bill gets passed into a law, and there you go. So that's how I guess you could say, the system of government works within this country. Okay, it says here, it must still be approved by both chambers of Congress. Yes, because you have, I forgot, but I think you have two. I forgot the names of the chambers. Let me look it up now. Yep. So you have the legislative, right? And it's divided into two chambers. You have the Senate and House of Representative, right? And each chamber has its own roles and responsibilities. So chamber one is the Senate, is sometimes called the upper chamber, with 100 seats, with two members from each of the 50 states. Each senator serves a 6-year term. The House of Representatives, also known as the lower chamber, right, has 435 seats, which is the number of representatives each state has based on its population. Each representative serves a 2-year term. And I've actually been to the Congress before, the Congress, the White House, the Pentagon, and I've seen a few of the representatives, the politicians, right? So I understand how the system works just a little bit. Okay, It's a big, huge, massive building. When we get inside, there's a lot of security in there, a lot of security. You really can't go anywhere, right, without being watched. Okay. And they also have a lot of Jakes working there too, especially on a lower level, like security and all that. You also see a lot of Capitol Police members. Okay, they call them the police for just the Capitol building, and they also are in there. A lot of Israelites are part of the Capitol Police. And when I got in there, the place had a uh, a spirit within there. It was like a negative spirit that was roaming the area, because when you look at the faces of the people that were working there, like the politicians and the police officers, there was a they didn't look too happy, and number two, right, you could see the demons that are on them, right? And the whole time they were looking at me, giving me that look. I stood out clearly, I stood out clearly. Everyone was looking at me. So it was an interesting experience. So let's get back to the article. It says last week the House of Representatives passed an updated version of the NDAA, right, which allows the U.S. government to automatically register, right? Before you had to do it by yourself, okay? And the way that they get you is if you want financial aid through system like a university or college, it will automatically sign you up for selective service. If you wanted any loans, you get automatically signed up for a selective service. If you wanted to purchase a house, I don't know if it's to purchase a house or a rental or apartment, but they usually get you through high school, high school and college. That's how they get men to sign up for selective service, right? It says to automatically register men ages 18 to 25 in the selective service or draft system. While it hasn't been invoked in over half a century, the last time it was invoked, I think it was during the Vietnam conflict. It's mandatory for all male U.S. citizens to register for the selective service, also known as the military draft, when they turn 18. Failure to register is classified as a felony. It comes with a host of legal challenges, okay? The law requires that only men register with selective service. In the event that law is changed to include registering women, selective service is prepared to expand registration. And this is going to happen very soon, because right now Babylon is fighting two wars on two fronts. Okay, they're fighting two wars on two fronts. You have the front in Eastern Europe, right? Because they don't want to lose the resources that are in Ukraine. So they're fighting tooth and nail, right? To protect, quote unquote, protect Ukraine from the Russians. And then you also have there in Western Asia, right? Where people call the Middle East. You also have people down there that are fighting, and the U.S. government is prepared to send troops down there if it gets to that point. But I believe they're gonna send the troops for the draft all the way to Ukraine, because they really do not want to lose Ukraine. Okay, right? The Senate Armed Forces Committee has since created their own version of the NDAA, where the draft eligibility will be extended to women. The proposal to have women register for the draft is not included in the House's versions of the bill. Okay, so it is not included, but it will be included soon. Some experts say it's necessary and fair to make the draft tally unified in the event of a national emergency, like a global conflict or a war that goes from a small conflict to like a regional war. Okay, the bill has garnered mixed reactions. So what happened to equality? What happened to being a strong and independent woman, and that men and women are equal, right? When it comes to death and bloodshed and actually fighting and going to war, everyone now just snaps back to reality, right? And they throw out the ideology that they have been poisoned with. You see how hypocritical some people are? Okay, we're talking about involuntary drafting women. That's fair. I mean, what are they going to be doing? Taking over the manufacturing jobs, the factories, the oil plants. Okay, the chemical reactors that are located within Babylon, are these women capable of working these hardcore labor jobs? No. Okay. I'm totally opposed to that. I'm also worried about the expansion of the draft, said Senator Josh Hawley from, I'm guessing that's representative of Missouri. This is not about combat, it is about the opportunity to serve. The House version of the bill does not include drafting women, but it will automatically register men to keep them from skipping out, said Senator Marsha Blackburn from Tennessee. The bill was approved in a committee by a 22-3 vote. Wow, that's an overwhelming vote. Okay. It now advances to the Senate for consideration. The bill will then need to be approved by both the Senate and the House and be presented to the president for signing. Yep, there we go. So you have the legislative and the executive branch. So once it gets approved by the House of Representatives, it goes up to the president and he signs the bill and it becomes a law. Congress and the president can reinstate the draft and force male citizens to serve in the military in the event of a national emergency or war that all volunteer military can't adequately support. The most recent draft in the U.S. was held in 1973 during the Vietnam War. And there will be another draft coming. There will be another draft coming because the amount of fighting, all right, and the amount of troops needed, okay, to support that third world war or the third world war is going to be a lot, right? It's going to be a lot. Okay. So let's go to 2nd Esdras, the 16th chapter. Okay. And I don't know if I'm going to do the article, right? The Oklahoma Supreme Court. I'll probably just do it next time. But let's go to 2nd Esdras, the 16th chapter, right? Okay. And it says here, okay, let me start at verse 22. It says, many people on earth, and this is in the GNT, by the way, if you didn't know. It says, many people on earth will starve to death, and those who escape starvation will be killed in war. Okay. The scriptures talks about many wars. You got the class war that's going on. You have the race wars that will take place. Okay. And you also have the civil wars that will occur. Well, civil and class, right? Kind of the same thing. But class is just dealing with the middle income people going up against the elites, the richest of society, right? Let me put the do not disturb on. Okay. It says here, verse 23, their corpses will be thrown out like garbage. Sheesh. There's a scripture where it says, their dead bodies shall be on the face of the earth like dung. Okay. Their corpses will be thrown out like garbage, and there will be no one left to comfort the living. Okay. That's why it says Isaiah the 66th chapter, the slain of the Lord shall be many. The earth will be deserted and its cities demolished because everything is going to be turned out of its place, right? The sown places shall be unsown. Let me go ahead and get that. I think that's in the same chapter. It might be in the same chapter. Yeah, it is. There we go. 2nd Esdras 6 verse. No, it's not. No, it's not. 16:6. It says here, and suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, and the full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. And this just goes into the chaotic climate or the chaotic scenery of what's it going to be like in that day. You know, in that day, no one's going to be doing landscaping, taking care of the lawn. Pretty much the earth itself, the vegetations, right? The trees, the plants, they're going to retake the cities along with the animals. And animals are going to come back into the cities, right? Because there's pretty much no humans there, no cars driving really. There's going to be no gas coming in. And they're going to retake the cities, and it's going to go back to what it was before roads were built. So pretty much America will be looking like a primitive state, you know? There will be no one left to plow the land or plant it. Okay? So there's gonna be no grapeviners, no gardeners, no more Issacharites planting the land, you know. Verse 25, trees will bear their fruit, but there will be no one left to pick it because all the men, right, will be thrown in that war and likely the women, okay? And the ones that are left, right, besides the elect, okay, they are not going to be concerning themselves about gardening because it's going to be a time of survival, right? When there are shootouts happening and there are different opposing factions going up against each other out in the streets, what they call urban warfare, no one is going to care about gardening. Okay. Verse 25, trees will bear their fruit, but there will be no one left to pick it. Grapes will ripen, but there will be no one left to make wine. There will be desolation everywhere, okay? And this is from the Bible, thus saith the Lord, okay? And a person will long see the face of another human being or even to hear another person's voice. Oh, that's a good one. Because when you look at movies like, what's that movie? I Am Legend. I don't remember the important parts of the movie or the whole thing, but I do recall that he really could not find another human being throughout the show and throughout the movie, and if he did, it was like a rare occasion. It wasn't frequent, you know. Only 10 would be left out of a whole city, and in the countryside, only two who have hidden in the forest or in graves, right? So people are going to be in the cities, the countrysides, right? The forest or the caves. Okay. It also talks about that. It says those that remain in the city and in the city shall die of shall perish by the sword, and those that remain in the field shall die of hunger. Okay. All right. When an olive grove is harvested, 3 or 4 olives may be left on each tree. When grapes in the vineyard are picked, a few branches may be left even by those who look carefully. Right? That is how it will be in those days. 3 or 4 will be missed by the soldiers who search through their houses to kill everyone. The land will be left empty. The fields will be overgrown with briars, right? The natural elements, or let me say the nature itself is going to take back the cities. The roads and paths will be covered with weeds and thorns because there will be no sheep to graze along them. And that sheep, right, the modern day sheep is really the lawnmower, right? The lawnmower, the scissors, because back then they used the sheep to like graze the paths, you know, along the trimmings of the paths, like the fields and all that. And they pretty much ate the grass, like the excess of the grass and everything, so they kept everything nice. Now, now that modern day sheep that you'll be using to graze and everything, it will be the lawnmower. You know, use the lawnmower to cut and trim the grass and make it nice. Put the fertilizer on it. So, what it's saying in the scriptures that no one's going to be available to do these things. You know. Verse 33, the young woman will be in mourning because there's no one to marry them. Okay, and this is the marriageable woman, right? Wives will be in mourning because they have lost their husbands. Daughters will be in mourning because there is no one to help them. Okay, and this is why that draft is a significant point in prophecy, because this right here shows you that the elites, they are approaching on that third world war. Okay, that limit is almost up. You know, the scripture says that the Lord has appointed the bounds that he cannot pass. That's in Job, the book of Job. Okay, so that bound is being reached. Okay, it is being reached, and the Lord is getting ready to take them out for good. Verse 34, all the young men will be killed in the war, right? That's that draft right there, mandatory service, and even the women, right? And all the married men, right, will die in the famine. Whew, it's going to be tough. Okay, it's going to be rough. All right, it's going to be rough. So from there, let me go to Jeremiah, the 16th chapter, right? And let me start at verse And I'm not gonna make this. I'm not gonna make this quick. I'm not gonna make this too long. I meant to say that because I do have something to do. It says here, Jeremiah 16 verse 9. It says, "For this is what the Lord of heaven's armies, right, the Lord of hosts, right, the power of Israel says." In your own lifetime, before your very eyes, I will put an end to the happy singing and laughter in this land. The joyful voices of bridegrooms and brides will no longer be heard, right? And that tells you that this is talking about end time prophecy. Now, this also applies during the time of the Babylonian captivity before the land of Judah, right? The land of Judah, Jerusalem was sacked by the Babylonians. Okay, you had Israelites that were getting married, doing all that, being joyous, while the northern kingdom were pretty much in slavery under the Assyrians. Now, this applies to now, right? Because pursuant to Matthew, the 24th chapter, right? Luke, is that Luke 24? Let me go ahead and get that Matthew, Luke. Oh, Luke. As in the days of Noah. Okay. Yep, Luke, the 17th chapter. Let's go ahead and get that. Luke 17. Yep, this is Luke 17. Forgive me, excuse me. And it says here, yep, Luke 17, verse 26. It says, "And as was in the days of Noah," right? Noah is just a Greek version. Noah is a Greek way of saying Noah. And to say in the Hebrew would be Nawa'ak or Nawa'ak, right? That's how you say Noah in the Hebrew, Nawa'ak, okay? Or Nawak, all right? As it also, or as, oh my God, I'm messing. And as it was in the days of Noah. So that was a tongue twister for me. So shall it be also in the days of the Son of Man. Okay. And we see striking similarities between that day or those days and the days that we are in now. Because during the time of COVID, I mean, you had people that were, that were pretty much in the house of mourning and all that. But as soon as things open back up, people resume back to happy hour, good old days, happy days, happy days. Let's party, happy days. Now, the media has done a good job by hiding the woes of society and not really telling the truth about the unemployment, about how broke Americans are, about how inflation is affecting everyone. Majority of the people still have their heads in the sand. Okay? They did eat, they drank, and I mean, go down to DC, there are people getting married, drinking, right? Eating, having a good old time. They were given in marriage until the day that Noah, which Noah represents the elect, okay, the elect of the nation of Israel. One of my favorite scriptures is what Isaiah 26, right? Isaiah 26, verse 20. Okay. Yep. Love this scripture. I always remember it most of the time, right? This is Isaiah 26, verse 20 says, "Come, my people, enter thou inside chambers." And why is it talking about entering into the chambers? The chambers represents the chariots. And why are we entering them? Because we see that the destruction is coming, right? The scripture says, "Arise ye and depart." That's in Micah, the 7th chapter. "For this is not your rest," It is polluted. So us knowing that the elect have mentally, even spiritually, they really don't have a spiritual connection to America, right? Their mind is set on the things above, just how the Lord said, set your minds or set your affection on things above. Okay, so the elect have pretty much departed this place already, spiritually. But very soon they're physically going to depart this place, right? The scripture says that the righteous shall scarcely be saved. The scriptures also says, only with thine eyes shall thou behold and see the reward of the wicked, right? So let me go back to Luke chapter 17, right? Where was that? Let me finish this first, okay? They did eat, they drank, they married wives, they were given in marriage unto the day that Noah entered into the ark, and the flood came and destroyed them all, right? So that's Noah entering into the ark, and the modern day ark is what? That chariot, okay? The salvation of Israel, what people call the UFOs, okay? That chariot, man, the Lord is coming, right? With the host of angels, Michael the archangel, and he's coming to do two things: destroy and deliver. The double D's. The double D's. Likewise, also as it were in the days of Lot. In the days of Lot too, right? Because this is also Sodom and Gomorrah. The scripture says if the Lord has not left us a remnant, we would have been likened unto Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay? We would have been a part of that destruction. Likewise, also as it were, or as it was in the days of Lot, they did eat, they drank, they bought, they purchased, they sold, they planted, they builded. But the same day that Lot went out of Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven and destroyed them all, right? So the Lord, he is only reserving the destruction, holding it back because the elect has not been sealed. But once the elect has been sealed, the angels, pursuing the Revelation 7th chapter, the angels that are holding back the four winds of destruction, they're gonna let everything go. It's gonna be loosed, no more holding back, and the Lord is gonna work on the minds of the leaders to perform His will, right? That verse 30. Even thus shall it be in that day when the Son of Man is revealed, okay, or revealed, right? So when Yahushua comes back, he's coming back in the midst of war. It's not going to be like what the Christian church preaches, how, he's coming back to give kisses and candy, or, what people believe in about the rapture, before the destruction happens, you're just going to be taken up. No, man. The scripture says that it shall come upon the whole world to try them. So everyone is going to go through those temptations, whether you're an Israelite or a heathen, okay? But the only ones who will receive deliverance are the elect of the nation of Israel. So let me go back to Isaiah 26, verse 20, and I'm going to go ahead and close it out here. It says, come, my people, enter thou into thy chambers and shut thy doors about thee, right? Shutting thy doors is what? You closing the door behind you and not looking back. Because once you have shut that door, the only way forward is what? Going forward, right? Once you shut that door, you have no other option but to walk forward. So once you shut that door, you have made your mind, right? I'm not looking back, right? The scripture says, he that is plowing and looking back is not fit for the kingdom of the Most High. So once you shut that door in your mind, that's saying, look, this is it, right? I want the kingdom. There's nothing left for me here. Right, you have shut the door on Babylon the Great, okay? Hide thyself, as it were, for a little moment, right? Because we are hiding ourselves through what? Through these scriptures. This is the hiding that's taking place. This is the departing that Micah spoke about. But very soon the Lord is going to do the physical hiding. That's also in Isaiah the 59th chapter, right? He's going to also hide his servants, okay? When the enemy shall come in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord shall lift up a standard up against him. That's going to come in many ways, many forms, many fashions, It could come through a way by a chariot delivering you, lifting you up. It could come in the way of an angel hiding you, There's going to be a lot of works of miracles being done in that day. Hide thyself, as it were, for a little moment unto what? Unto the indignation, which means what? Righteous anger be overpassed. And that indignation is going to come in the form of nuclear fire. That is the judgment, right? For the ungodly, right? The 2/3 and the heathen. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and close out, giving all praises, honors, and glories due to Yahweh. Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakah, Kadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of Great Millstone, and peace, blessings, and salutations to you, like Shalom.